Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda, for the introduction. So, I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this. And just to be clear on what we're going to cover tonight. So here's what my goal is for everyone here, and I want you to be able to walk out of this. I want to look at your brand. And your brand can represent you as an individual, because some people just want to make themselves a brand. In this day and age, that's a big thing, and it's a very available thing. Or it can be your company. And we're gonna work on your story for your company. So what is your story? And the way that we start with your story is to figure out your why. Everyone's talking about your purpose nowadays and what you're doing. But there's a lot of value to understanding your why and why you do what you do and why and the deeper reason behind it. Because once you have that, you can start to drive that down what I like to call your data funnel, right? And we're taking the conversation on social, the give model, adding value, knowing your buyers, and then ultimately the difference between organic and spend. And there are probably more categories. These are the ones that I'm focusing on today. But the goal here is to learn a little bit about these and understand how these help you collect data. And I'm going to stop here, and I'll tell you why, because this is such a huge topic. We could make a day workshop out of it. So this is just kind of a taste of a lot of stuff that I think will be valuable for you guys. But from here, there's a certain assumption, and that is that you understand and know what to do once you gather data. And I'll touch on that a little bit, but really a lot of what you're doing here is understanding how to tell a story that's compelling to attract more data from potential buyers and sellers, right? So who are you as a brand? I'm going to give a couple of you guys a minute to answer this. But I want you to think about who you are as a brand, because who you are as a brand is very important in knowing your story, knowing the core of your story. So just as an example, this is me, a little bit lighter in weight with a tan. So obviously I picked the best picture I could find, but I'm a dreamer. I'm a business owner, I'm a storyteller, and I'm a public speaker, right? So everything I post, I try to post around those 4 tenets. So I tell you that just to say that you got to know your tenets, right? So we are in an exciting time. You can build a narrative with your brand and with your clients that's unique only to you. When else prior to social media and Steve Jobs' vision for the iPhone to empower every individual to have their story in their hand, could you do it? Maybe I think the equivalent of the 80s with cable TV and law offices that had less money than a major brand could reach a local market with their message. But never before have we been in the position we're in. So I'm going to show you this little piece here. I found it on the internet, and what I love about this is the idea that we are no longer passive consumers of content.
We humans have always been obsessed with communicating. It's how we turn ideas into the glue that binds us together, into tribes and societies. In oral traditions, an idea spreads from person to person. Everyone briefly owns it, modifies it, and can choose to pass it through social networks or let it die. It's survival of the fittest, and only the most compelling ideas thrive. But the last 100 years of the broadcast era changed all that. Here, audiences became consumers of ideas, not participants in spreading them. Brands and causes with access to broadcast could guarantee attention. It became survival of the richest. Now that the broadcast era is ending, what will come next? With audiences again in charge of what ideas they seek, skip, and pass along, we are entering a time that looks like a digitally empowered version of the oral tradition. The digitoral era. Here, it's survival of the fittest again. And what kind of ideas survive in any oral tradition? Stories. It's time we all became storytellers again. But how? It starts by thinking of your brand itself as a story. Every communication you create is another chapter in an unfolding epic starring you and your audience. On the surface of any story, you'll find characters, settings, conflict. None of these things are placed there by chance. Every visible element of a well-told story is there to illustrate a core truth about the world, a moral of the story. Morals are themselves expressions of values that the storyteller wants to share. Different values create vastly different morals and story surfaces. Joseph Campbell, who studied stories across cultures and millennia, discovered the most universally successful stories, or myths, call audiences to higher human values, like community, justice, truth, and self-expression. Campbell also uncovered the hero's journey, a formula for iconic storytelling that has always worked. We still see it everywhere, and it provides huge insights for a story-based brand. An unlikely hero, a powerless outsider, muddles through a broken world. She wants to live out her higher values but feels powerless to do so. Then she meets a mentor who tells her so much more is possible. He gives her a magic gift and calls her to a dangerous adventure of self-discovery. On this adventure, she confronts the evil source of the world's brokenness and seizes a treasure with which she comes back to heal society. Audiences thrill to hear this story again and again. Brands can use this formula to become storytelling masters too. How? Start with the hero. This hero doesn't start out as the insider, the one with the power. She is an outsider to your brand. So she's not you. The hero of your story is your audience. So if you're not the hero, who are you? The mentor. You are the character that reveals more is possible. You work to connect audiences to their deeper values. You teach a core truth, a moral of the story, that provides hope to heal a broken world. Stop talking about how great you are and start telling stories about how great your audience can be. And give them a magic gift, something that makes the adventure you are offering seem likely to succeed. A great brand gift has taken good story brands and made them cultural icons. Any brand can become a story brand by finding its relevance in its values, its consistency by building every communication around its moral. It finds resonance in its unique voice as mentor rather than hero, and its differentiator in its gift. But that's the easy part. In the transparent world of the digital era, mythic success will take something more, a commitment to live the higher values you espouse. Those that don't will lose credibility and their stories with it. Brands brave enough to live their values will reach iconic status and light up the digital landscape. They will tell the stories and create the myths that will win the story wars.
Anyone find anything interesting out of that? I'm going to make you guys open up here in a minute, so you might as well get comfortable with me now.
I like, don't talk about how great you are, but talk about how great they can be.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I love this picture. I have a 4-year-old son. I was practicing today before this presentation, and I said, David, which one are you? Before I tell you which one he picked, because I don't want any bias, which one do you guys think, does anyone have an opinion which one stands out the most and yet still kind of fits in? The black one, that's the one you think stands out and still fits in? No, it's Robin. Robin for you? Yeah. Robin? Robin? I mean, it's subjective, right? It's kind of like art. David picked the black one. I kind of went with this guy because I felt like he was a Batman, but look at him, he's looking right at you, right? His confidence, right? His brand is confident. The other ones are kind of looking around, not sure. Robin's not, I love Robin though, he's very cute. Sorry, I'm sidetracking here, but very cute characters, right? So this is the challenge as a brand, right? What makes you stand out and yet fit in? Okay, the 5 whys. All right, so this is where I'm going to ask for some volunteers. So when it comes to understanding your brand, I learned this from a book that I was listening about a real estate agent who puts on a very high level program annually in Las Vegas. And I think to be part of this program, you have to pay like $5,000 or $10,000 a ticket, right? And in this, and in there, he asks actually the 7 whys. And in his theory, you'll never get to 7 before you reach the reason. If a person's being honest with you and not dodging, you'll never get to 7 without reaching the reason that they do what they do. And he talks about an example where a real estate agent wanted to be the biggest real estate agent in his area. And the guy's like, well, why is real estate important? Well, because I can make money and I can do this. Well, why is money important? Well, because I got to take care of my family. And by the time he got to the bottom, the guy's like, well, when my mom died, all she knew me was as a heroin addict. And I promised myself that my kids would never know that, right? So at the core of him as a real estate agent, he knew why he was doing it. He was doing it for his mom. Like, we all do things for a reason, right? So this is what I want to see. I want to go in deeper, and I want to ask who you are as a brand, what your deeper message is, what your brand's purpose is, and who do you attract and who do you not attract. But before I do that, do I have anyone that wants to volunteer and tell me about their brand and their why? Yes. I mean, the reason, and I still want to dig, to be honest with you, and the reason, and what I would do is challenge you, because I still don't think you're there yet. I don't think you're really opening up. And unless you're willing to open up to, like, what's the deeper reason? Like, what do you really care about in this community? You know what I mean? Like, why, you know, where is it? All the way back to, like, I'll explain. I'll let you off the hook, but I'll explain. But for all of you, you have to realize that the biggest thing that's going to make you say, if you're not willing to go there, you can't expect to touch other people. If you're not willing to touch that part in you that you have insecurities about, that you are afraid, that you're like, if they see this, they're going to judge me, you're not going to be able to reach other people. And I say this because in the modern area of storytelling, if you want to set yourself apart from everyone else, you've got to be willing to do that. If not, give it up now. For me, the deeper message is in living my dreams and helping others live theirs, because in my life, people never thought I could. When I was in, what grade was it? It was the third grade. I was held back, and it was the most traumatizing experience of my life. And it took me years to get over it, and I felt like I was dumb, and I felt like nobody believed in me, and my parents didn't even tell me. My teacher told me on the last day of school, and it haunted me the entire summer. And when I returned, that teacher who decided to hold me back forgot to have my desk in the room and sent me to the class I was supposed to go in to get my desk. So the shame at that moment, I remember both when she told me, the shame and my face turning red, and I was flush with shame. And then I had to go into that classroom and get those seats. And again, right? And I was like, for my life, I struggled with that, feeling like I was inadequate. And it took me so long to just accept that and be like, all of this stuff that I'm doing is because I feel a sense of inadequacy. And so I came to this point where I was like, I have to deal with that, and I have to be open with that, and I have to tell other people that story. And it began to make a difference. So if you're not willing to do that for yourself, you're going to miss, all this stuff is going to be a waste of your time. So you've got to dig in and open up. Once you have that, I love, who knows Karate Kid? The original Karate Kid. I love the original Karate Kid. And I love the mentor-student relationship there. Once you know your why, then you can apply. I feel like he would actually have said that too. Wax on, wax off, and then, okay, I'll stop. So we're going to get into a little bit less deep and a little bit more kind of just, this is more, you know, the application. Anyone can apply. Anyone can apply these skills. These are just skills you can learn. And this is the difference between the Michael Jordans of the world and the kids that never go on beyond high school basketball, because you can learn the skills of dribbling. You have to know the deeper level to get there, but these are the skills. So the conversation, I'm just going to kind of move through these at a decent pace. So understanding that especially for a brand, understanding that the conversation on social is similar to trying to meet someone new in a bar or a cafe. It's high level, it's welcoming, it's fun, it's light, it's upbeat. I love this picture because I felt like this is that kid that kind of shares a little bit too much of his personal story. And I think in knowing your why, it doesn't necessarily mean that you open up and share everything about your life to people and just spew it out on the floor and expect them to pick it up. It's more about being comfortable with that deeper part of yourself, so that, and again, remember, your brand, your logo, your pitch is not number one. And that goes back to the video that we watched, right? what people care about is. So when you know what you care about, you can relate with that with them, right? And so you're thinking about with them in mind. People that are doing it best are your Nikes, your I don't know, Game of Thrones. I pulled some of these off of the higher ones in social. But the reason that they're doing it best is they're real with people, they inspire, and they excite. And this kind of applies to what we were talking about earlier. So when you write copy, engage your audience. Get with questions, data, facts, and get the subject in front of them. And Gary Vaynerchuk, who I love, who, you know, again, if you study and watch the guys that are doing it best, you'll find the best line. But this goes back to what I was saying. Don't use all your time to write multiple drafts of the perfect post. Document your life, tell your truth. That's what people want. But I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying between the filter of telling your truth and maybe putting things out there that are less than appropriate. I hope you guys are. That's a whole nother level of social skills that I'm just assuming you guys understand. The model. So I'm going to talk about a couple models here. One of the models is the give model. I don't know if you guys remember when the internet's kind of started coming online, all these businesses during the dot-com, before the bust and then after, you'd kind of see free, 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 and I would always be like, what is free? What is the free what is all this free stuff? And then I started figuring it out, and I think you guys probably know. The free stuff is all about data, right? Giving people stuff to get stuff, right? And again, I love to speak about these guys that do it best, the Gary Vaynerchuk, Lewis Howes, Chase Jarvis, and I got some more on the back end. But what these guys do best is they give you a video that inspires you. They give you tips on how, I don't know how many of these guys I've signed up to and listened to their webinars for free. I was sitting and listening to their webinar because I want to know all the stuff they know. In the process, they're collecting my data. They're categorizing me into buyer groups. They're sending me out emails. They're working the entire back end, which I said I wasn't going to get fully into, but I'll talk about a little bit. So the give model is giving away things to grow an area, to make yourself an expert, and to collect data and information. All right. So, and that coincides as well with the adding value. The adding value is creating content that puts you as an expert. All of us work in these silos of industries, and we know tons more than probably most people around us, right? So knowing that and being able to offer that to people and put yourself in a position where you're the expert on it will help you collect business, help you collect potential buyers, right? And again, it's about sharing something for getting something back. You're positioning yourself as a lead in the market. And that falls into the webinars, podcasts, blogs, vlogs, and web videos. So you should be asking yourself, what can I give away that can position me as an expert in the industry? Whenever you're thinking as a brand, you should be thinking down this road. What can I give away to position myself as an expert in the industry? So let me take a break and do a recap because it's going to get a little more fun now. This was kind of like surface level basics that you guys probably are aware of at some level. But we talked about the conversation, the give model, and adding value, and they're all part of your social funnel. They're all ways to collect data, all these things, adding value. Hopefully you're getting something back. The give model is the best way to get information back from people. And the conversation is just how you engage and increase your click-throughs and increase the amount of data that you're getting. Here's the key, and this is a little bit about the psychology of understanding who's out there and how you're going to reach them. So once you start collecting all that information, now you're going to start creating campaigns, right? Creating campaigns designed to reach buyers. And that can be either through vlogs. The most powerful form of doing this, and this is jumping off of social a little bit, is email. So your ratio of actually having people A, read your content, B, click through to what you want them to either buy or consider buying goes up substantially if you have email. More often than not, people don't change their email, so So when you're thinking campaigns, I'm just going to go across your 4 types of buyers. You have to be thinking in this way, and you have to be categorizing your campaigns to your buyers, right? So you have your apathetic buyer. We all know what apathy is. You have to be asking yourself with your apathetic, what success and in problem solving and solution can you share? So apathetic buyers, they need some encouragement. They need to believe that you're going to be able to do something for them. And for apathetic buyers, you need to look for their pain, right? What's their pain? And then challenge that. And I feel like I'm just doing this like skimming over so much stuff, because you can dive so deep into each one of these and how you would create copy and how you would create a click-through to a blog post or a page. So I hope you guys understand that you're just getting like skimming the surface on so many levels here. The cynic, the greatest cynic of all time, George Carlin, scratch the surface of any cynic and you'll find a disappointed idealist. Ask what testimonials and success stories can you share? So cynics want to know, like, who else has done it? Like, show me, show me who else has done it. So sharing success stories, and this is something that you can do as a business on social easily, and that's why you see so many testimonials from other companies, right? They're telling about their success. They're trying to reach the cynics of the world. They're telling about their data of achievements and what they've done. That helps you reach those cynics. Then you got the people with mental barriers who have struggle with everything is impossible. I can't get there. I can't do that. And so you have to be asking, how can I make this applicable and easy? For people with mental barriers, they talk about reducing friction in business. That's why Amazon is at the top. One click buy, right? People with mental barriers, so easy. Don't even think about it. Just click it. It's yours. It's coming to your house. We already have your address. We already have your information. One click and buy. When you see campaigns that say, take this for free, have this for free, right? Those are your mental barriers. If you're the person that clicks through on those free things, you can make observations, because the way you buy is also the way you sell, right? So those things parallel. Who are your buyers and what are your disqualifiers? For you as a business, the one thing with people with mental barriers is you want to know who are your disqualifiers. I asked you earlier about who is it for and who isn't it for. You need to know who your business isn't for, so you're not wasting time on people that don't qualify. And I'm kind of into business 101 right now. Procrastinators, you give them a timeline, make them take action. Why should I do it now? And again, you're shaping your content on social media, your blogs, in this way so that that's useful for them. Why should I do it now? Limited time offers, countdown to sign up, incentives for buying. So who's doing it best? And I sign up to all these guys and study them and learn from them. Ramit Sethi, I will teach you to be rich. Nick Stevenson, get your first 10,000 readers. Chase Jarvis, I told you about. Lewis Howes, Grant Baldwin, Vanessa Edwards, Science of People, Mark Dawson, and you can find tons of them out there. And if you want to understand how to do social better, just sign up to these guys and watch how they funnel you, and watch the information they bring to you, and read the emails and how they tease the emails and their social pages. All right. So the last thing is paid and organic. If you've come this far, you're probably going to get better at creating your content. But the question is who is going to see it? There is a theory that organic's dead, and I don't agree necessarily, but if you don't have a following of 100,000 people, only the 400 or 1,000 people that you have are going to see it, and if you're lucky, some will share it, and it'll grow a little bit. The thing with organic is, organic campaigns statistically have greater success than paid campaigns. You're going to reach more, your percentage is higher of people that you're going to reach, and that you're going to have success with. So if you have a strong network or can team up and partner with people, you're going to have more success. But if you're not, then pay to play is quickly becoming the most powerful way. When Facebook and the other platforms switched over their algorithms, you can't really reach people like you did before without spending money. The challenge and the challenge here is it's easy if you go in. You can just select a region. You can select an age group. But what the challenge is knowing what platform is best for you. Is your business best on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn? And where do you want to spend your most money? I know companies that play far better on LinkedIn than they do on Facebook. And so knowing those things is the next level. And so wrapping this up, what have you learned? We talked about your brand, talked about your why, made everyone uncomfortable, maybe a little bit. That's a good thing though. We went through the conversation, and hopefully you have an understanding about your database. And the last piece is, if you want to know more, and part of why I'm here is to share a little bit about what I do. If you want to know more, we work in the brand space, we work in the social media space, we work in kind of telling people's story. And if you have interest in understanding that better, I learned this from John Hune, who's here tonight, the space between the yin and the yang, chaos and order. And what we work to do is, if your industry has a ton of order, you want to introduce chaos. If your industry has a ton of chaos, you want to introduce order. And that's where you begin to draw people's attention. And that's kind of the space that we try to work in. Understanding your industry, understanding what message is going to work best for you, and working to put that out there. This is the name of my company, and if you know anyone I can help, I'd love to help you. But hopefully this was beneficial for you guys. If you have any notes for me on ways I can improve or areas of strength, please share them. And if you have any questions, I'm open to them. Good? I got a head nod. That's good enough for me. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.